Welcome to the Informed Pregnancy and Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, pregnancy-focused chiropractor, Dr. Elliot Berlin. My guest today is a remarkable artist, an incredible human, and a brand new mama, Jackie Amézquita. Last time we spoke, Jackie was just about to give birth, and she shared her plans for birth. And today we have the privilege of hearing about how the journey actually went. Jackie, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to have you and to spend a little time with you again. I got to see you so much during the pregnancy. Now your baby has stolen all of the thunder, all of the attention. I'm all by myself. But it's for a good cause. I wanted to just recap quite a journey you had before the baby came. Initially, you had thought about having a home birth inspired by your family tradition, and then you had some health concerns, so you switched to a hospital birth with
Correct.
the ovarian cyst and the fibroids early in the pregnancy. And then as you got closer, the health concerns were resolved, and you decided to go back to your original plan. And then last time we spoke to you, you were getting very, very close to going into labor. How was the end of your pregnancy and the beginning of your birth?
Um, we had to make a U-turn. We have to make a U-turn right at the end of my pregnancy. We wanted to have a home birth. And so, we went pretty much with that plan in mind after we got the okay from the hospital. And I was super excited. My partner also was excited about that. But we ended up having the baby in the hospital.
Did something change before labor started?
Yeah, yeah. So it was a long labor. So it was pretty much almost a week. My mucus plug, I lost it on a Wednesday. And then after that, I started like having like this like period pains or like very like mild cramping. And I was like, oh, okay, so this might be the start, right? And then after that, like pain started like increasing, increasing, increasing. But I was like, okay, so I think I can handle this, but I think I'm in labor. Then by probably midnight, I woke up my partner and I was like, hey, like this is increasing. I think I'm having contractions and the pain is just a little more intense and intense. Like you need to wake up. So he stayed up with me that night. We stay up. We went into the living room and we were just doing like kind of like walking around and like just resting at the same time, eating food. And in the morning, we contact our doula to just let her know that contractions have started. So that
Where is this
was,
in relation to your due date?
so it was actually the day after because my due date was on Wednesday, on
No.
July 10th. So it was like July 11th.
So you
So it
started
wasn't
feeling cramping and mucus plug loss on Wednesday,
on
and then
Wednesday.
things picked up overnight. You
Right.
woke up your partner, and now it's Thursday, day after your due date. Doula's on alert.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like labor. Is it intense?
It was intense, but I can still handle it.
Okay.
And we don't need the doula to come. We can just, do this on our own. We told our midwife what's happening so that way she was aware of where we were in during that time in labor.
So at this point, no U-turn. You're planning to, progress in labor and have your baby.
Yeah, yeah. So we were like, okay, great. So we're just like, this is where we are. So construction started like becoming like closer. And so we were like, oh, okay, it's getting closer. They were like every 15, 20 minutes. And the intensity was like a little bit more than what I was experiencing the night before. So I thought, okay, we're getting closer. But I remember that that night, like the intensity of the contractions were like higher than the night before. So I was like, oh, we're getting closer, right? So it's, another day. But we went into Friday and I was like still having contractions getting closer, but not like, every 3 minutes, 1 minute, a minute and a half.
Wait, were
So
you able to sleep at all on Thursday night?
no, I wasn't able to sleep at all on Wednesday, Thursday, or even Friday.
Okay, so then Friday, I'm not 100% sure what you're saying. On Friday, they were getting closer together now,
Closer together.
and like every sometimes 2 minutes.
No, like every like 5 minutes. Like let's
Okay,
say every 5 minutes. Yeah.
so they're every 5 minutes. That's still pretty intense, like for no sleep and being at it for that long. And had the doula or midwife come by yet at all?
No, not yet. Not yet. We were like, okay, we can still do this, but the midwife said that she was gonna come and stop by and just check on me and see where I was. And we called our doula if she could come and, support us because the contractions were just getting closer together and the pain was really strong. And my partner was getting really tired.
And this is Friday.
And this is Friday. Yeah.
But your water's still intact.
My water wasn't still intact. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they come over.
So, yeah. So we asked our doula if she could join us on Saturday because I felt like, okay, we can still handle this, even though like contractions were getting closer. And this was like, we didn't know what to expect in terms of like how long we were going to go for, right? I thought, okay, the longest it can go can be like 3 days, right? So I can be in labor for like 3 days. So our midwife came and checked on us. She asked me if I wanted to do a cervical exam or if I, just wanted to wait and see where I was going to get that night, and my water was like still intact. So we decided to just continue and wait for old doula to arrive in the morning because the pain was like getting really intense and I was still having contractions, say like every 5 or like 10 minutes, but they were not like a minute long yet. So they were like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, but every like 10 minutes. So they were not regular.
Hmm. After all that time.
Yep.
I'm trying to picture just even being someone supporting you. I would be toast by now.
Yeah, yeah, my partner was really tired, and I was also concerned about how very little sleep I was able to get and not having like strength to push the baby. I was trying to, hydrate and drink plenty of different fluids. I decided to also go in the shower as the contractions were getting more intense and trying to find some relief and like different like positions and places in my home.
Was the
I
shower
did,
helpful at all?
yeah, the shower was really
It felt
helpful. I
nice.
didn't want to, yeah, it felt nice. I didn't want to get out.
Oh, you guys took a birthing class together and, you prepared for potentially unmedicated birth. Are there things from the class that were helpful?
I think like the information of knowing that at the beginning of labor, before we were in active labor, I was supposed to be resting. So I could potentially use all that energy that I was storing in my body could be used for like, the long stretch of the active labor. Also, how to interview a midwife or a doula. What kind of like snacks should I be having during the time in labor?
Well, that's the most important. What
Um,
kind of snacks did you have?
I had lots of like protein
Uh,
snacks, peanut butter bars, cheese, like slices of cheese, and like little stuff, small stuff that I could digest, salami.
one of the things I love about attending home birth in those years was the spread of food. It's always like a nice spread at a home birth.
Yeah, we were trying just to have like stuff that I was able to eat, that it was not gonna be that heavy, but I still was gonna take, all these vitamins and all this like
Yeah.
protein to have energy.
Yeah, exactly. Give you sustenance to power you through. So Saturday, still nothing doing, really.
No, 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 no. So,
You sound like a car that's in neutral and somebody's
yes,
stepping on the gas and it's revving up
yeah.
and making all this noise but not going anywhere.
Yeah, I was like, for sure, the baby's gonna be born Saturday, right? Like it's been going pretty much since Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I was like, no, 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 the baby's not gonna go more than Saturday. The latest, like Sunday, but I don't think we're gonna get there. Like I was like Saturday. So our doula arrived early in the morning. She showed us like some techniques of how to hold my hips. So how Julio can put like pressure on my hips and support me during the moments of contractions. And that was so relieving. I was like, why didn't we call our doula before? Like, we were doing all this by ourselves and like some other like different positions and using the rebozo to how to like, shake the apples. And I was like, oh, like this feels so good. Like I'm having like such a relief that now I just want the doula to like be supporting me, that I don't want my partner to be supporting me because, she is doing this amazing job on helping me going through the contractions, and also Julio can have a break.
Yeah. Oh, you have a
Yeah.
fresh support when he wakes up.
Yes, exactly. And that's how, we started pretty much taking turns where the doula was with me for a period of time, and then Julio was taking a break, and then she was, supporting me, and then, they were backing up each other so I could always have someone with me during those painful contractions. And in the morning, they were kind of like going a little bit easy, not that strong. Like afternoon, like they started like going like crazy, insane, like strong. And I felt like I was like splitting in half.
Oh, in your back?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, oh, that's the worst.
And then on my back, but I also was feeling that on my legs and my hips, and just trying to go again in the shower to get a little bit more of relief. Yeah,
This is still Saturday?
this is still Saturday.
It's hard to keep track here. Okay. Still Saturday, but it sounds like you came into Saturday night, still going, maybe even going stronger.
Yeah, yeah. So that day, the midwife came over and we talk about like having a cervical exam. But she also mentioned that because of how the duration of my contractions and the time, she thought that I was like probably dilated like 6 to 7 centimeters, and that I was like getting really close to delivering the baby. And of course, I got like excited, right? Like I was like, okay, so I'm pulling through the pain. We're still medicated. I can do this. And like it was pretty much like moving my body around as much as I could, like doing all these yoga poses. Child
Did,
pose was the best for me. I was able to have some relief on my hips.
mm,
But as soon as I was like coming up again,
mhm.
like the contractions were just like hitting me stronger.
Wait, so did you decide not to do the cervical check?
I decided not to do a cervical check because my midwife mentioned that she thought I was already dilated 7 centimeters. So I was like, okay, let's avoid, you know, the intrusiveness in my head, right, of the cervical
Yeah.
check in this moment. You think I'm this far along in labor. So I was like, okay, we're getting closer.
Yeah, maybe not.
But
Um,
nope.
I think it's an appropriate time. Let's take a little break because I need one just to rest up from what's happening here in the story. And then when we come back, we'll find out what happens next. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're talking to Jackie Amézquita. So your quick home birth has now turned into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, still laboring pretty hard, unmedicated, finding lots of different things that help you feel better for bits of time, like a shower, child's pose, double hip squeezes. Bozo. I probably didn't say that right.
You
Um,
did.
oh, thanks. Not nearly as beautifully as you say it. And the midwife is like, okay, your body's signs are telling me things are progressing. You're probably getting there. So you keep going. Now it's Saturday afternoon, evening.
Yes, so I was like, okay, so we're here. This is Saturday. We're about to go into Sunday. Probably baby's gonna be born at night because that's when contractions are getting harder. And we pretty much go into Sunday. And
So no sleep again Saturday night.
no sleep again Saturday night. So Julio was able to sleep that night, and he was still supporting me until like midnight. And then the doula took over. So she was there supporting me from midnight until 6 a.m. And then Julio woke up, and then, she was able to take a little break, and then he was able to take over. But I had like zero sleep that night. I was like exhausted.
I can't imagine the combination of not sleeping and working so hard many days in a row now. Even with
Yeah.
the salami and cheese,
Nope, it was not doing it.
not enough. Okay, so what happens on Sunday?
So on Sunday, like things still the same. I'm getting a little more, let's say, maybe not concerned, but I was a little like wondering like for how long this is gonna go. And it's been since Wednesday, now it's Sunday. Baby has to be born today. My midwife suggested on Saturday that I could take like two Benadryl and like chamomile to kind of like allow my body to rest for some time so I can be like rested and ready to push, the next day. But I opted to not take that because she also mentioned that I could get a little bit like drowsy
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I want to be, fully myself and feeling all these contractions and be aware of my body. And so I opted for not taking that on Saturday. But as the hours and the contractions were getting stronger and stronger, I decided that I was going to take it so I could rest and have some sleep because I had like pretty much by that is like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like 4 nights of not being able to sleep. I think on Thursday and Friday, I was able to take naps in between, but on Saturday and Sunday, I wasn't able to sleep at all.
Okay. So what options do you have?
So it was that and just pretty much wait and see what will happen. And so for that, I think my midwife came around 7 p.m. on Sunday night, and I decided to take the two Benadryl and the chamomile tea around 10 p.m. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to rest and with some pillows, and I'm gonna do it in my bed because it's the place where I feel most comfortable at home. And that was just insane. I don't even remember how much in pain I was, but I just remember that my body just took on this ride of like a roller coaster of contractions that I couldn't even keep track of.
Hmm.
And that was pretty much the doula and my partner getting ready because we thought, okay, so we're here. She called my midwife, and I think she heard like the sounds that I was making, and she thought, okay, she's ready, like we're coming over. And during that time, I wasn't like really aware of like what was happening in the room. I was like literally like gone. I just remember having my midwife by my side, like kind of talking to me and, coming back from this unknown place that I was and, telling me that we were ready. And this was on Sunday night.
Right. Okay. Is that when I got a phone call?
That's when you got a phone call. Yep.
Okay. I got a message from your doula. Hey. And by the way, I think we had an appointment scheduled for like Tuesday or Wednesday, the day
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
before,
We had an
and
appointment scheduled for Thursday.
a
That's
Thursday. And
mm-hmm.
then you had been having contractions Wednesday, and you're like, I'm going to stay close to home. This baby must be coming.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised on Sunday to get a message from your doula saying, so Jackie's still in labor. Maybe you can come over. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I had had my own like 24-hour marathon of something. It wasn't birth related, and I was just not even sure I could get there safely,
Mm-hmm.
let
No, I hear
alone
you.
be helpful once I got there. And it broke my heart because I would do anything to help you. But I was very surprised that you were still in labor on Sunday at home. So is there some point where they sort of check you and get a sense
Yeah,
of?
yeah, yeah. It was on Sunday. It was exactly on Sunday when they checked me. And so my midwife was like, okay, so I need to perform like a cervical check to see where you are so we know how far along things are and how we move forward. So she performed a cervical exam and then she asked me, do you want to know how far you are or do you want to wait? And I was like, of course, like I want to know, right? And I was like, okay, we're probably 8 or 9. And I was like, shocked when I heard that I was 4 centimeters.
Oh, wow. That's like getting kicked in the gut.
Yes. And then she mentioned that during the cervical check, she mentioned that the baby's head, the position of the baby was not the correct one, that she was asynclitic.
Oh, not lined up with the runway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
shoot. Well,
yeah,
I guess that makes sense with all those contractions not really progressing.
right.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I mean, you know how the story ends by now, but that moment must have been so devastating.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so what is next? What are we supposed to do now? And, I was kind of like gone, right? It was a very vulnerable place where I was too. And in my mind, and with all the pain that I was like feeling, I was not really like 100% present in that moment. So I was trying to trust my team on what was the best decision to do. And so she asked me, like, how do you feel? And I was like, oh, I don't know. How do I feel? After hearing this, honestly, I'm just riding this wave of contractions right now. And I don't even know what that means. And on top of hearing that I was 4 centimeters dilated, and that the baby's was asynclitic. And she explained me that in her experience, like she had like babies coming up with, like a little head cone, but that goes away. And I was like, oh no, so here we go into this cascade of interventions that, I was trying to avoid to have if, the birth doesn't go like with any bumps on the road.
Yeah,
Uh,
but at the same token, we talked about in the previous episode that you were open to switching to a hospital birth if you needed it, and that you had a plan
right.
for that.
Right. Yeah, so we were seen at the hospital like my whole pregnancy. And yeah, so we made the last 2 weeks pretty much before birth, the change of going through a home birth. That was something that I really wanted to do, but we were also like, okay, if we had to switch to the hospital. But at the same time, it was kind of like a hard decision to make in that moment when I wasn't sure, what was happening next. And it was not a decision that I could make or I didn't have to make at that moment because I could see how things were gonna progress in the morning and where I was. So I was like, okay, wait, maybe if I get adjusted and my body's like prepared for this, things can just start like speeding up, right? And this whole time I was just like talking to the baby, like, I'm ready, you're ready, we're doing this work together. But yeah, it was just a marathon. It was really intense.
It's hard to get a sense of whether you're in your head or not in your head.
I agree.
Are the memories from this point now looking back, are they clear or blurry?
There's a few ones that are blurry, but there's like other ones that are like really clear. I felt like also my team was getting really tired. It was already Monday morning, and I was like holding into the idea of still having a home birth, but also like thinking, okay, we might have to switch to a hospital birth. My midwife came back again on Monday to do another cervical exam to see where I was. And that was around like 4 p.m.
Oh, wow. So late on, I mean, not early Monday morning.
Yeah. And so I was still 4 centimeters dilated. And then she said, like, you probably are 4.5. And I was like, whoa, no. Like, it's been more than, 12 hours. And I'm still almost there, the same.
Yeah, you're almost in the same place, but that's 12 hours, but also 5 days.
Exactly. So I was exhausted. And then I was just trying to decide if I should, like, stay home or go to the hospital. But at the same time, because I was doing all these yoga poses and all these movements, that I felt like my tailbone was not like aligned.
Okay.
And our midwife referred a chiropractor to us who was able to come over to the house. And that was like around 9 p.m. on Monday night. And by that, I was just like, okay, no, like, let's get the bags ready to go to the hospital because I don't think I can do it anymore.
Hmm. Did the chiropractor end up coming?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
did they do?
She pretty much like adjusted my back. It was like the same routine that we do when I was there with you. And I told her about the baby being asynclitic. I didn't have the amazing massage that I get with you, by the way.
Oh, just the adjustments.
It was just adjustments, yes.
Uh-huh.
And then like probably like 10 to 15 minutes after she left, that was around maybe 11 p.m., almost midnight on Monday night. Like the contractions just started like coming one after another, which I had experiencing before because I was having contractions that were like 3 minutes long.
Wow. To not really have a break and to have long, like, how do you
Yeah.
relax into a 3-minute surge at that point?
I was just trying to be in child pose. I found that to be the most comfortable
Huh.
position for me, just child pose. But every time I was like coming out of child pose, the contractions were like getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger.
You tell people sometimes, to expect your labor to take a good 24 hours on the first one, and like 24 hours, that's forever. And I'm just thinking it's Monday night and you went into labor on Wednesday, or you started having surges on Wednesday. Okay, so it's late Monday night. What happens next?
So I decided to pretty much call a friend and ask her if she could pick us up so we could go to the hospital because by that time my partner wasn't even able to drive. And my doula was not even, in the position to be driving too. So I was like, I think we need extra support here.
Oh,
And I am ready to go to the hospital.
okay. That means we should probably take a break. And when we come back, we'll find out what happens next. Welcome back. We're talking to superhero Jackie Amézquita. I don't even know how you got this far. I mean, women in general are so powerful and so able to reach deep inside and do things like this, but this is extraordinary, above and beyond. And you had said you were open to the switch if you needed to, the switch back to the hospital, and it sounds like that's where you're headed at this point, late Monday night.
Yeah, yeah. So, I called this friend, she came and picked us up, and I had pretty much like a diaper bag with baby stuff ready. And I have like a bag with me just in case, we needed to switch, but I didn't have everything in there. So I just asked my doula if she could put some of my clothes in the bag. And I told my partner that I had this friend coming over to take us to the hospital. And those moments were like really intense. Like I had no sleep pretty much. Julio had no sleep and our doula had no sleep. So it was just like, what is like the best decision to make right now? So I had to, put myself together in those moments and like try to make this calls and be like, hey, like it's time, please come and take us to the hospital. And they were here like within like 30 minutes, I will say 40 minutes.
Okay, in the big picture, that's quick.
Yeah, in the big picture, but to me that was forever.
Right, I get it. Yeah.
I was like, where are you? Why are you taking so long? And then the ride to the hospital was just insane.
How long?
It was like 15, 20 minutes probably.
Okay. Yeah, we're
But
enclosed
it
in a
was
car now.
Yeah, in the car with the bumps and the turns, and yes, it
No
was
child's
just
post, no bozo.
no, nothing. So I was just, like there, just screaming my lungs out. And yeah, by that moment, I was like, please, I need an epidural.
Okay. I mean, who wouldn't at this point? Were you able to get it
Yeah,
quickly?
we got to the hospital. So when we got to the hospital, they took us in right away because, we were seen there before. And we explained them that we were like laboring at home, that I was like 4 centimeters dilated. Oh, wait, you know what? I forgot to tell you the part of my water.
Oh,
So
where did it break?
that was on Monday. After all this intense pain, I totally missed the water. So it was on Monday around 5 p.m. And that's also when the pain started like intensifying.
Oh, that makes sense.
hmm Yeah,
Was it a big
it,
gush?
it was a big gush. Yeah.
Where were you?
I was standing in my living room
Okay.
and I was like, whoa, okay, this is my water for sure.
Okay. So at the hospital, were you able to get the epidural quickly?
I actually got the epidural around 2 a.m.
Okay, not terribly long.
Not terrible long. And
Did it
then,
work right away?
yes, it did. I was able to take a nap.
I was like,
I
did
was
you
able
fall
to
asleep
rest.
immediately?
I was able to rest, yes. And not immediately, but I was able to take a rest.
Okay. And what else did they do at the hospital? Did they do their own check? I mean, I'm sure they're monitoring the baby now constantly.
They put me on the contraction monitor and also on the monitor to hear baby because, my water broke. So I was like wearing this diaper, right?
Hmm.
So they check in to see if it was, my water, the one that really broke. And so they discovered that I had like meconium.
Okay.
And so, and then there was another thing.
But the baby is strong, right? The heart rate looks good.
Yes, the heart rate was strong. Everything was okay, that I was gonna get like the epidural. They put me in a room. I had the epidural. I was able to rest. And they kept, checking in every like 30 minutes to see how the baby and I was. And about like an hour after I got the epidural, contractions stopped.
Oh
And
no.
so, yeah, so they were like, okay, so your contractions have like stopped. And I pretty much like stopped feeling them too. And so they were like, okay, so we're gonna give you Pitocin
Right, to get it going again.
to get it going again. And I was like, okay, so this is one of like something that I didn't want to get, but also I understand that I need this in order to continue with progressing labor.
Right, especially must be on their clock now with the water broken.
Exactly. So they were able to regulate my contractions. after 3 to 4 hours. So by this, it was already Tuesday, right? And
Almost a
so
week.
almost a week. And so we had the midwives at the hospital coming in and checking on me. And so they introduced themselves. I was not in pain, so it was like really nice, but I was kind of like gone because I was out of it with, all this like long stretch of days having all these contractions. And she suggested to do a cervical check so we could see how dilated I was. I was like, okay, here we go. Maybe it's gonna be like a 6 or a
Uh-huh.
7, and we'll see how far along I am. And then she performed the cervical check, and then I was 10 centimeters dilated.
Oh, another surprise, only this time a nice one.
Yes.
I felt the kick in the gut last time, and now I feel a little euphoric.
Yes. So I was just super excited. For a moment, I thought, okay, we're gonna go into a C-section.
It seemed like that's
And
where you're headed.
yeah, yeah. And she said, like, if you are ready to push, we can go now, or you can take a break. You can take a nap, and I can come back in a couple of hours, and you can start pushing. And I was like, okay, I take option two. I'm gonna take a nap. I'm
Nice.
gonna rest, and then, I'll be ready to push.
So, did you get a good nap and did Julio nap?
Yes. I think Julio had a nap from midnight until 6 a.m. He fell asleep on the couch because he was exhausted.
Oh, he's going to need to see a chiropractor.
Yeah. And then he woke up around 6 a.m. And then that's when I, broke the news to him, like, hey, like I got the epidural, but contractions like stopped. So I got into Pitocin. And then so I started explaining him what's going on.
Hmm.
And then he was wide awake by then. So I got to nap.
How long did you
And
rest
then
before pushing?
I think it was like about 2 hours, 2 hours and a half.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
And
nice.
then did you feel strong pushing?
I did. I did. They give you like this button where you can like kind of like press in if you want to get more medication, more of the epidural in. But I was still feeling the contractions. I think that was something that I wanted to experience and work with my body.
Out of curiosity, when they checked you, did they feel like, oh, now the baby's lined up better?
The baby was lining up better.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Great. So how was pushing?
It was a beautiful moment. I was very focused in what I was doing. One of the nurses was kind of like coaching me through the pushing, and I was working through the contractions, and I was able to push my baby in like 51 minutes.
Oh, wow. I have tingles now. It's so beautiful because always, even when I'm at a birth, like that moment, that triumph, when you've done it is always a big moment. I'm usually like teary-eyed, but the more intense, the effort to get there, the work that you put into to get there, it's just even a bigger payoff at the end. Like just the triumph is huge. Well, congratulations on that. I do have a million questions about everything from what it felt like to finally meet your baby for the first time to the immediate post-birth care, the golden hour, postpartum, motherhood. But we only have a couple of minutes left, so I'm going to ask two questions. One, looking back and now having had a little time to process, is there anything you would have done differently?
Uh,
I
I
only
would,
ask that because I think that sometimes you go through birth and it could be a different version of the same question. You go through birth and you learn things that you couldn't have learned without going through birth. So, are there things that you learned that you couldn't have learned, and would you do anything differently?
I think like you just said it, like you can try to, be ready for either or, but you never know how things are gonna go in that moment. So it's pretty much going into those moments and like going through them and learning and making decisions about what's the best thing to do when you're in those moments. I think we try to do as much as we could to prepare for having a home birth, do a hospital birth, right? Like took the birthing classes, nursing classes, going to acupuncture, doing, adjustments and chiropractor. So you can prepare yourself for everything, but at the end, when you're in those moments, that's when you have to make the decisions. And I think I made the decisions knowing and moving alone according to like the possibilities. I made the choice of having a home birth right at the end of my pregnancy. I was thinking, okay, we're gonna do a hospital, but I did it like after, having an okay and knowing that that was possible. But then there were other complications at the end that we were not prepared for because that's something that I didn't know.
But it sounds like you rolled with the punches very well. It sounds like
Yes.
you were flexible and malleable and had support and had strength from the inside. And when things weren't going how you envisioned, you were able to think through, you were able to find ways to calm your mind and calm your body and progress the journey forward.
Yeah. I try to like mentally just, prepare myself for the intensity of what labor could be. I also surrounded myself by older women who had children and, we talk about their experience, especially my aunt who had 5 children. Also try to call for the strength of all the women in my family and ask them to be there with me in those moments. And that way I felt that I was not alone, that I have like all this powerful lineage of women that have given birth before me.
That's a lot to tap into.
Yeah.
My last question is, has this experience in motherhood changed your art at all?
Mm, that is interesting because I feel that I will continue making the same work that I will be making, but I think there will be maybe some changes adding to the work, but I still don't know what those changes are. I think those are going to happen when I am in the process of making.
Hmm, that makes sense. Jackie, I think you're very inspirational and strong and powerful, and I'm inspired by you. And I am grateful to you for coming to share your story, both before and after. Before we go, where can we find you and your beautiful art online?
I have a website that is at www.jackieamezquita.com, or also I'm on Instagram at Jackie Amézquita.
It's making it easy on us. Jackie Amézquita, thank you so much again for joining me. And at home, thanks for listening to the Informed Pregnancy podcast. For more pregnancy and parenting information just like this, visit us online at informedpregnancy.com.
Doctor, give me the news. I got a whole lot of questions for you.